As the world turns and big ideas are lost in the dead of night because they lack the guiding light of John Limbacher.
Oh, you always come up with something classic, Gregory. All right. Hello, everybody. It is March 18th already. That is hard to imagine. I'm not sure what's happening with these days, but they just seem to be vanishing in thin air. It seems like we were just on here yesterday. It's been a week. But anyway, let's get the party started. See, we got some old timers. Well, not so much old timers, but people have been with us for a long time back on, and welcome back for those of you. All right, so let's get started here. Anybody want to kick off? Got questions, answers, solutions? Gregory, go ahead.
Okay. All right. We did our thing last time at our session, and I ran into the first stumbling block.
Okay.
And that was, I went to my Kartra, and it's logging into GregorySantana.com, and I can't access the Invicta trading pages. Do you want me to show you how I log in, or am I logging in wrong?
Well, your Kartra, you only have one Kartra account, so you can have pages for anything. Now, your website itself is not Kartra, it's WordPress.
Oh.
So you're probably just logged into the wrong thing.
Yeah, but I went to but I thought we were uploading videos to the Blue Room. That was the objective of our meeting.
Okay, so let me tell you the difference between the WordPress site and the Kartra side of things, and how they all connect and communicate and all that. So your WordPress site, that's your forward-facing website. Kartra can provide content like your membership site. And in your case, Gregory, that's where your rooms are. That's where your membership rooms are. So you have the red, the green, the blue, and or actually, no, it's the green, no, the blue, the red, and the gold, right?
Correct.
Okay. So your blue, red, and gold rooms are in your membership site. That part is hosted by Kartra.
Correct.
So when somebody logs in, they're actually logging into Kartra, and they see all of those pages in Kartra. So if you want to get to that stuff within Kartra to edit it, you would edit your membership in Kartra.
Okay. So I just want to start with the first step though. I just want to start loading videos up. So
okay. So your videos, you load the videos up under the video button in Kartra.
Correct.
And then to put those videos on the pages, you would go in and edit your membership in Kartra.
Okay.
And so go to the different rooms.
Right. Okay. I see what I see. I see. Okay. I see something here at Kartra. Because okay. All right. I'm getting there. Now I'm getting there.
Okay. So I'll just give you this. I'll just give you the kind of steps. So if you want to edit your membership in Kartra, you click on the membership, and then you go to the one and you do edit membership. And then the actual part where you edit the content, I believe it's on the second tab where it says launch the builder. So when you launch the builder, that's when you actually see it like a website. And that's where you can add your videos in there. You can add your links, your content, pages, all that stuff.
Right. Well, I'm in my Kartra now. I went to my videos, and on the right side there's a drop down menu that says all categories. I click the all categories, and I see cliffhangers. So I clicked on cliffhangers, and it says no results found. And it goes to campaigns. I'm just want to do is just start loading the videos to those rooms that we spoke about the other day. Okay.
So if you're clicking on, like, let's say you click on cliffhangers and it says no videos found, that means that you did not categorize that video into the cliffhangers category.
Correct.
So if you want to do that, you can go back to videos, you can edit the video and you can add it to that category. And then you can kind of organize your videos that way by categorizing them.
So I clicked on my videos. I'm there now.
Okay.
Want me to show you? Should I share where I'm at, what I'm doing wrong?
Sure, okay, that's fine.
Because then this way you'll visualize. Okay. So I'm here on Cartridge. You see it, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's videos. Then I have is the thing called categories over here. We'll start off with evergreens because evergreens I can do an actual video load up, and then it goes to that.
Okay. Well, if you go,
this is down here. That's right. Click
that's
here.
That's where you added. It looks like you haven't added any videos in there. The only one in there is the one I added in there for you.
Right. Okay. I have to apologize to you, sir. I did a major boo-boo after we got done. Well, I went on and did my recordings for YouTube for the daily videos. And then I go and I clean out that cache so it's ready for the next day. Well, dummy me forgot that we recorded an hour session in the Zoom of that day, and I dumped it. I was so mad at myself. I was like going crazy, but at least now I see, okay, now that I hit upload video, and then it goes to the video name. Okay, yeah. Now I'm getting it.
This is where you name it, categorize it.
Right. Okay. Trading for expenses. That's the name of one of them. I'm just rushing through this. Then you have to work create.
Yeah.
And I create. I come over and it's gonna say.
Now you need to upload the video.
The upload the video, and then the video can be. I have to. Okay, now I know my videos are buried in. Buried way back here, in the. So I'm gonna get a little bit more organized, and the videos be up front, so I don't have to step through all these sections to get to that video. Got it. Okay. Back up. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. At least I'm on the right. I'm getting the steps bit by. Oh, Tiger Traders. There it is. Tiger Traders, and video library, and Tigers. So in here is buried in here, and these are all my videos going back to the last almost 2 years.
Okay.
So buried in here somewhere is the special report for doing it. So I'm just gonna do okay. All right, okay. Enough. I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but now at least I'm on the right stop. I'm on the right direction.
Okay. Cool.
Got it. Okay. Someone else's turn. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing. You got the command, sir.
Awesome.
Stop sharing. Can you take command? I can't. I don't know where I can find my controls for stop sharing.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, good morning, John. Excuse me. Hi, good morning, John. It's Chris. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Oh, we're not hearing you, Chris.
Sorry, stupid mute button. Oh, that's what the red light's for. Hey, good morning to you and to everyone on the call today. Hey, I am fixing to get started to get started from the ground up as far as attracting an audience and with a lead magnet. And can you just I got a checklist of things I need to do. Just let me know if I'm heading in the right direction as far as getting started. The first thing I need to start working on, and again, this is just from pure scratch, just start working on a lead magnet, something to attract emails and to generate, start generating an email list. Next, I need to start working on an infrastructure like Kartra to establish all the infrastructure necessary to capture the email addresses and also to post the lead magnet where they can download things. And then once I have just those two things, a lead magnet and an infrastructure, then I need to start with techniques to build my email list while I'm working on content for my first offer. In other words, I can start, I'm assuming I can start with a lead magnet and start building an email list even before I have my first product created, so that when it is completed, you know, a set of videos, that I have at least some list that I can then that I can then make an offer to. Is that the right sequence of things?
Yes, the absolute first thing is the building of the list. So this is for everybody. The most important thing that you're going to do, and this is the very first piece of client acquisition, is generating interest and getting people into your marketing sequence. It's one thing to put great content out, but if people just come, consume the content, and leave, that doesn't leave you in a very good position in the future to be able to generate business when you want to. That's the whole trick. That's the whole key, is being able to generate business at will. And the only thing that I know of that you can do that with is a list. Existing customers is a list. I know if you talk to almost any business consultant or anybody that's giving advice on business, they'll tell you first go to your existing customers and see if you can get more business out of them. That's your list. That's the first place that you look for new money. If you don't have a list, you have no place to look for new money. You have to go out, you have to do it the hard way, and you have to earn it. as business owners and entrepreneurs, we like things lickety split. We want to reach out. I have literally come across offers that match my list or segments of my list, and been able to send out an email and generate money off that list pretty much at will for the last 20 years. So you don't have to have a complicated structure behind the list to be able to make money with it. Like you're talking about infrastructure. Don't put building infrastructure in front of building your list. Put building your list in front of everything else. Now, you were right on the money. To build your list, you need a lead magnet. The best way to create a lead magnet is to identify what your audience wants. What do they want to do? What's their desired outcome? Remember the timeline exercise. In ACT, there's an exercise called the timeline. And it's all about figuring out who your ideal prospect is, where they are, and where they want to be. They're all in a particular place, wherever that might be, and they want to be somewhere else. And I'm saying this metaphorically. They might just want something. They might need something. They might have just gotten bad news, and they want they want to figure out how to get rid of it or get out of it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all related to a timeline. They're in a certain place, and this is kind of human nature. We're all on a timeline, and many of us are on many different timelines. Like I'm on a timeline right now where lunch is coming and I'm going to be hungry, right? So I'm going to have a desired outcome of food. That's a timeline. So somebody's going to solve that problem for me. It might be fast food, it might be a restaurant, it might be Uber Eats delivery, it might be my wife bringing me a sandwich. Somehow I'm going to fulfill that timeline. Now, that's not the only timeline going on in my life. So we all have all of these different timelines. Your prospects have them too. So it's your job to identify what are the timelines that you could deliver. What could you deliver their desired outcome on? And you can create products around this. You can create services around this. You can make a lot of money around this. Sometimes your prospect may not even know that they have a timeline. They may not even know they have a problem. That's called the unaware. There's another lesson in there about the pyramid of awareness. There's a lot of people that are on unknown, unrecognized timelines. Like Perry Belcher, I've told this story a bunch of different times. And Perry Belcher, he sells a product for nail biting. Most people well, I don't know about most. I'm just talking generically. Let's say most people bite their nails, right? They don't even realize it's a problem. But Perry brings it into their awareness. And he starts talking about how important it is to make good impressions on people. And he said, you know, for all of you nail biters out there, and then all of a sudden the guy biting his nails who doesn't even realize he's a nail biter, now all of a sudden he's aware of something. And then Perry says, for all of you nail biters, what do you think people see when they see your hands? And then you're like, oh shit, I have a problem. Perry just set that person on a timeline that they want to get rid of that problem now. So there's a lot of people with unaware problems. You can make them aware. But anyway, I'm diving too deep into that thing. Let's get back to the lead magnet.
Yeah, I have a question on that.
Sure.
You know, in my mind, it's like, well, it's got to be like you know, for a lead magnet, it's got to be an Amazon #1 best-selling book. I'm thinking, no. The purpose is to generate something specific that will interest the person, that will get me an address to, and because the goal is not to have an Amazon #1 best-selling book, but the goal is to have something that'll interest people. The goal is to get an email address, to get a contact address, to build the list. So my question to you is, so I can make it much simpler and make it a, you know, PDF or something like that. Do you, in your experience, is it do you so when looking for a list, one thing I would do is I would look for people who have a podcast, who have a target audience that I would like to that I think would be interested in what I have to offer, not directly competing with that person in the podcast, but complementary to them. And so when they say, well, how can they get more information? In your experience, is it better to have a something in print, like a free PDF, or a video? You know, for the lead magnet, say, hey, you know, download my, you know, my free PDF, blah, 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 or go to my website and watch my free videos on that same topic.
Yeah, there's no answer generically across the board for that. The lead magnet, let's talk about the lead magnet itself for a second. There's a couple of things that's really important about that, and figuring out what the right lead magnet is where you're probably at right now. So whether it's a printed or a video or any of that, it depends on what it is that they need and what you're going to provide for them. So here's some examples of a good lead magnet. These are some criteria that you should keep in mind when you're thinking about what to create. It should be a little tiny slivered piece of something bigger. It shouldn't be a whole book. If you're giving away a book as a lead magnet, and for that person to now consume your goods, they have to read the book, that's a bad idea, because you know damn well nobody's going to read the book. So if you're giving away books to try and generate customers, that's not a bad idea. That's not a good idea, rather. What you want is, you want to figure out on the timeline where they are, where they want to be. You want to give them the first step. If you can help them take the first step to getting what they want, and like I said, it's a little piece. You're not taking them all the way there. You're not going into full detail. The reason that you give them that one piece so they can take that one step is so that you can boost their confidence. Because most people, when they hear the idea that they can get what they want, it's not true. They don't believe it. They believe if it was that easy, they'd already have it. So they have an internal conflict with promise of what they want. Everyone has this. It's like built into us. So what you have to do, remember, you seduce the heart, convince the head. This is part of convincing the head. The heart wants the promise. That's not the problem. The head gets in the way and says, bullshit, I don't believe it. So when you give a lead magnet that allows them, it takes them by the hand and allows them to take the first step, and they can see that they're closer, they can see that there's hope of getting it, The head now says, oh, this is attainable. We can do this. What do I do next? That is a really, really freaking good position for you to be in for your prospect to want to know what to do next. Because who do you think they're going to look to for that answer?
Okay.
You just put yourself in position now to gain a client.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you then, we talked earlier, and the lead magnet would be the PDF or the ebook, the small ebook, 10 reasons, or the title of the book would be Why a Budget Will Destroy Your Marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just so we're clear, the goal or the objective of a budget is great, but taking that approach to actually go through a budgeting process is like one of the hardest ways to absolutely get control of your money. It's like climbing Mount Everest, like going up the summit, as opposed to like there's an easier back road. Anyway, the point is, so as far as the lead magnet goes, it's 10 reasons or why a budget will destroy your marriage. And this is geared towards the 2/3 of American families that don't have a budget.
Yeah.
And
now, let me ask you something here. Why is it 10?
Oh no, I keep slipping at 10 there. It's not 10.
Okay.
I'm writing a 10 in the content. I'm writing 10 reasons, but I don't want to put that in the budget. So it's just why a budget will destroy your marriage. But my question is that I was thinking in that document to say, why a budget will destroy your marriage, and then in the subtext, and the one method that could save it. Now, in that same PDF, I was going to put, why budgets are the hardest way to bring your spouse along to to get your money under control. And then in the book, I was going to introduce the method or a much simpler way to work together to get control of your money. I was going to introduce that in the book, but is that an aspect that should be written into the ebook to say something like, listen, if you want to know the one way to do it right, or a different, easier approach, go to my free webinar.
Yeah. So back to the whole book thing. And this is for everybody. The reason that you want a book, there's only one reason you want a book, and it's not for people to read it. That might sound kind of funny, but I can assure you, reading is work. When you tell your prospects you want them to work, that ain't going to happen. So the one reason, like Craig's big on books, and I don't know if he really explains the reason why he's big on it. It's a really good thing to do, but the reason behind it is for credibility. If you need credibility, if you need to be able to say, I'm the guy that wrote the book on that, that's credibility. That's why you want a book, okay? Not to get people to read it. So if you're putting your valuable content, the stuff that your people need to do before they get what they want, and they got to read the book, you are setting yourself up for failure. So write the book for credibility, but don't expect or depend on anyone reading it. What you need to do is, like, if the content that you're putting in the book is what they need to get, put it into a webinar. It's a lot easier for them to consume a webinar than read a book. That's why webinars work so well. You can take somebody by the hand, you can explain it. Think about how much more enthusiasm they would get. They can actually feel your excitement when they hear you versus reading a book. If they're reading a book, they're going to hear it however they're in the state of mind.
Yep.
When you do a video, you have the ability to move their emotions a lot more.
Yep.
You can be animated, you can capture their attention, you can be compelling, and you can lead them a lot faster to where you want to go.
I get it, but I'm trying to figure out the division of information. And when I say an ebook, I'm just talking about a PDF. I'm not talking about writing an actual book. Sure. But an ebook, to me, an ebook sounds, more impressive, than just a PDF. I mean, a PDF, it's just a piece of paper. So, but names aside, with my lead magnet, why a budget will destroy your marriage. What I'm trying to figure out is what should the content be in there? It'll be the reasons why the budget is the hardest way to work with the spouse on getting your money under control. But my question to you is, do I put the solution in that lead magnet or leave the solution out, the better way to do it, as a webinar, to get them further to the next part of the process?
Well, look at it again, back to the timeline. The solution is at the end of the timeline. So you do not want to give them the solution. That's the paid part of your program. So you want to lead them up far enough where they have enough demand and desire to want to buy it. So so your lead magnet, really, it just gives them the first step. Like, if you want to save your marriage, here's what you need to do. Download this free ebook, and I'm going to tell you exactly what is going to destroy your marriage and what you need to do about it. So your ebook,
John,
page.
Keep going, John.
It's your ebook is one page, and it's simply, if you try and do a budget, you're going to destroy your marriage. That's it. Now they're going, oh shit, what do I do? You gave them the first step. The first step was just them being aware of what not to do.
Okay,
Don't do a budget.
That's simpler.
Yeah. That's your lead magnet. That's it.
Okay, that's simpler.
How you lead them into it is find out how to not destroy your marriage over finances.
Okay, and what's the second? Now that I've gotten, for them to get that, I have an email address from them. What's the next step?
So the next step, you've given them the solution to the first thing, how to not destroy their marriage. You told them what to do. You didn't tell them how to do it.
Right.
So it was useful but incomplete information. Now you have their email address. Now you can invite them to a webinar. Go, hey, if that sounds good to you, if you want to find out more about how to actually get control of your finances without creating a budget and destroying your marriage and ruining your relationship, join me for my 1-hour webinar. I'll tell you all about what you need to do, how to do it, what, the pitfalls, everything. I'm going to lay it all out for you.
So that's the solution. Exactly. That sounds good. That's easy.
So now you've basically just brought them into your timeshare presentation is what you just did.
Right.
And they're happy to be there.
Right. So, and then at that point, once I've briefly explained in a video or in a webinar, here's a simpler way. Let me just give you the blueprint of it, the framing of it, the bullet points of it. I go through and said, here, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Here's the simpler path. Here's the better results.
Yes.
And so I can do that.
So when you keep this in mind too, when you're creating your presentation, your webinar is your presentation. This is like how you're going to present your product and make your offer. Always, when you create a presentation, always think of the end in mind. What do you want them to ultimately decide? What do you want them to do? And everything about your presentation should be going in that direction. If you're going off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the end in mind, you're opening a door you shouldn't open.
Right. And that leads to a first digital course, to after the webinar, when they see the blueprint or the bullet points of the solution, then that would lead to the introduction of the video course of the, 4-part or 5-part video on me walking them through the process and materials and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, don't so much talk about the materials and what they're going to get, all of that stuff. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. All they care about is the desired outcome. Right. Always talk about what they're going to get out of it, not the stuff they're going to get with it. No, I understand. But that goes back to the original question, is that, do I need to have the now that you've described the lead magnet as something much simpler, that can happen faster. My question is, shouldn't I have the lead magnet in place, the infrastructure in place to, like Kartra, to capture their email addresses and compile a contact list? Also, shouldn't I have the infrastructure for having the webinar, getting that dialed in, an account for that and whatnot? And shouldn't I have the first offer, the video course, in place before I start?
You don't need it in place to start collecting an email list.
Okay.
Because all you have to do is just say, hey guys, I'm putting together, I know what you need and it doesn't exist. I'm building it for you right now. So
okay.
And then you can trickle out emails of, hey, I just finished the first module. You're really going to love this. You're creating anticipation for it. Doesn't have to be ready.
I see. So there's nothing wrong with collecting a lead and just having it, someone that it's like catching a fish. I caught a little small fish and I don't have to eat it right away. Like it can go in the freezer, like I have the contact list. I have their contact. I know that they've expressed interest. If it takes me a little while to develop some infrastructure and some webinar stuff, if it takes me a little while to develop the next step, it's okay, because I still have that contact, that contact guy. And if I contact them like a month or 6 weeks later and say, hey, here's the webinar, it's not like I'm going to lose them forever. But I could also, like you're saying, hey, I'm working on the webinar. I'm almost there. Or you know what, even in that time between getting their contact information and having the first webinar, let's say it's 6 weeks, I could, who's the guy that did the big launch with the books, the guy Steven Tyler or something, that is anyway, I could send them out like questionnaires, like what would you, I'm formulating the webinar, what would you like to see answered?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Jeff Walker does the product launch formula.
That's it, from Walker.
So his campaign, when he creates a marketing campaign, it's a 4-week campaign. And he rolls out a new module each week telling you about what he's building for you, ultimately that he's going to sell it to you.
That's right. And he does that based on, he says, don't be afraid to ask people what are their problems, and then what solutions, and then actually build the webinar or build the chapter of the book. I think he did that with the book. Ask him, here's the chapter I'm going to do. What are your specific questions? And he says, have them actually write it for you with their questions. So when so you not only do you generate interest, but you generate involvement, co-creation with them. And then more importantly, when you have the webinar, you look at what are the most important questions people are asking, and you deliver on what it is they actually need. So what you're saying, I don't need to wait to have everything in place. I can just make a really simple lead magnet, start collecting addresses, put them in the freezer until I get the webinar infrastructure in place, build interest along the way, keep people updated, and then announce. And but here's the last thing, and then I'll move on to let other people share, is that once I have the webinar in place, though, shouldn't I have the offer available right then, so it doesn't go? Okay. All right.
Yes. Remember your webinar, that's your presentation. You always remember, keep the end in mind. The end of your presentation is your offer. So that should be the first thing you focus on.
Yeah.
Like you might want to write your offer before you even start creating your presentation for it.
Yeah.
Because if you're creating a presentation and you don't even know what the offer is, you could get all jumbled up in the process.
Oh, I see. You're saying so create the digital course, my first offer. Like create that first, in other words, the solution itself. And then go write the webinar. What you want to
do, you want to think about the offer even before you dial in the content for it. Like I've done this several times. I'll think, okay, what am I going to make for my offer? And the first thing I think is, well, what do they want? What do they want to get out of it? So when I start creating the offer, that tells me, oh, that's what I need to build to sell them.
Right.
So like when I say always keep the end in mind, you really have to go out to the end. The end is always about the desired outcome. And then you work backwards back to the beginning.
Got it. Okay. Well, this has been very enlightening, because it tells me that it's funny. It takes away the human condition, you just don't want to start, like doing it, what is the phrase? Doing it's not hard. Starting can be sometimes damn near impossible. So
yeah, well, here's psychologically, this will help you because when you start with the end in mind, you can already see the finish line. So that's going to drive you even faster to get it done.
Okay.
Like
All
when
right.
you can envision, oh my God, people are going to love this. This is a great offer. And then now now you have momentum. Now you can kick butt to get that thing done.
Okay. So my takeaway is I'm going to write the lead magnet and just make it much simpler, much smaller, much more specific. And then with that, and that's enough to start building a list. And so that's the takeaway. And while doing that, work on the content and work backwards, as you said. Okay, thanks, John. That gives me a roadmap to do this. But more importantly, it makes starting that much easier. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everybody else, like just keep in mind the lead magnet should be short, easily consumed, quickly consumed, leave them wanting the next step. That's your best lead magnet. And it's always going to be the first step toward getting what they want. If you can deliver that, you're golden. Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Hey, I've been in the car driving and listening, but one of the things that I didn't hear, and I know as a speaker, it's absolutely critical, and that's elevating, first of all, identifying the pain. So let's just use that gentleman as an example when it comes to divorce. Well, that's great, but what if you have never had divorce, so you don't know the pain? And so if you're going to offer a solution, when you're talking about getting them to go where you want them to go, you know what the problem is, or you expect that you know what the problem is or their challenges are, but sometimes you have to really elevate the pain that they're feeling or will feel, and in this case, the budget's going to cause divorce. Well, what if I've never felt the pain of divorce? That's great if you've been married and divorced before, but for the person who's not been divorced, they don't understand the actual pain. They can read about it, but they really don't know it. So you have to somehow, in my mind, if I was doing this, I would have to identify the pain that they're going to feel and make sure they feel it emotionally so that they can avoid it before they ever go there. So you elevate the pain, and then you bring them along to what you want them to do to keep them from going through divorce. That's how I see it. Now, I may be wrong.
No,
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything about pain in there. And I know as a speaker, you have to elevate the pain and make them feel discomfort before they're going to want the solution or want to go where you're going.
Yeah, and that where you're going to build that, you're going to build that into the presentation. That's where that's going to be.
Right.
But
so the webinar is where I was.
Yeah, you don't have enough time on the front end to do that in a lead magnet. So that's going to be like a part of your presentation. That's actually going to be a module, a piece of your presentation. And the best guy that I've seen kind of has a process for that is Cialdini. He calls it taking them into the pit of hell. And he actually has a recipe for creating that. He calls it the pit of hell. And he said, please, please, please don't leave them there. Take them there, but then bring them out.
Right. But in a lead magnet, couldn't you in a lead magnet at least give an example of something that would make them uncomfortable or cringe, that they don't want to go through that? So then as part of the lead magnet to help them feel a little bit of discomfort or pain in a short.
Well, that's the whole
something short.
Sure, that's the whole point of his thing is find out, how to not destroy your marriage.
Yeah, it's right there in the title. Talk about pain. It's like, why a divorce? Why a budget will destroy your marriage? That's the pain right there. And then every aspect of it, like the 10 aspects, are nothing but pain. The pain of doing, when you do a budget, the fighting starts. There's pain all the way through that. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. And by the way, I apologize. I think I stepped over Libby. Libby had her hand up patiently, and I just jumped right in there. And so I didn't want to take away time. But yeah, no, I agree about putting the pain in there. But if they don't get the pain from the title, why a budget will destroy your marriage? I don't know how much more, anyway, but I appreciate the sentiment, but I think it's there.
In the presentation, though, what you can do, that's where you can take them into the pit of hell. You can describe, like what Randy's talking about. You describe what destroying their marriage actually looks like. Like you can say, hey, you're going to lose access to your kids. You're going to wind up, without a home. You're going to wind up living under a bridge somewhere with raggedy clothes, and nobody's going to want to even come near you because you stink. That's the bit of hell.
And I think that's probably what I didn't hear in the conversation was you talked about the webinar, but it kind of skipped right over what that would look like, and I didn't hear anything when you talked about the webinar, including that in there. Yeah. And early on in the webinar, I think you want to create that discomfort, so by the end of the webinar, they're ready for the solution.
Yeah. I didn't get that deep into the presentation part. I just kind of threw it in as a module. We didn't break it down. But,
could I ask a question, John? Because
yeah, sure. Go ahead, Woody.
We're all on the same road, and Chris brought up a lot of good points about Act 101. But if I was consulting Chris, I would go in the opposite direction. I would say sex and budget. I would say joy and budget, because to me, that addresses the heart. To me, doing a budget with a bitchy partner, be it man or female, is terrible. And I don't want to do it. In fact, my 30 years, I let my wife do it.
Woody, this sounds like a deeper issue.
Well, it is. I mean, sex, money, and death are the biggies. Yeah. So I would go with a positive spin on it, like, fabulous marriage, cash, joy, and sex, or ruin it all going through a budget.
Yeah.
Because the heart goes toward good things, not towards fear. I've never won a girl's heart by telling him how scary I am.
No, so semantically, it could go either way. There's a ton of different ways you can create the lead magnets, but I think he's on to a pretty good one.
Wow.
Going that direction. But yeah, you can, this goes to the big idea. When you have a big idea, the direction of the big idea is how you lead them in. It's not necessarily where they wind up. It's just how you grab their attention. So he's keying in on the factor that there's probably already bickering going on, and nobody wants to end in a ruined marriage. So he's keying in on that emotion. And I think that's a pretty good opener for the big idea that he's got, the path that he's on. So let me get to Libby. Libby, go ahead and unmute there.
Thank you. I had something so not to do with this subject at all. So
that's fine.
I'm going to just hang out here. It's a pretty easy one, I think. But what I want to do is I have a client that I've in Kartra that have already billed them one payment, and so they have another payment coming up. So they have an installment, okay? But the amount of the installment needs to change.
Okay.
I don't know how to edit that. So I'm gonna
super easy.
I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Okay.
And then, hopefully this isn't going to be like sensitive information, but just a second.
No, it's super easy to do.
Yes, we're all friends here.
So go ahead and do the screen share, and I'll show you right where it is.
All right, just a second. I just did that. Come here. Okay. So here I am. It's in the membership.
Okay, so this is the one that needs to change.
This is the one that needs to change. She spent
Okay.
2,500. So the next one needs to be.
So click on transactions.
Okay.
And now click on the order ID number.
I have to scoot you over. Okay.
And this is for everybody that's working in Kartra. This is how you get to their details. So click on the order ID number.
Okay.
And it's like a 3-step process. So it's not easy to figure this out on your own.
Yeah,
Now click on the order ID on the left.
Okay.
No, that's the subscription ID. You want the order ID.
Oh, fine. Hang on. I'm going to minimize you because you're taking up room.
on the
Okay.
far left there where it says order ID, that one
Here.
right there. Yep.
Okay.
That's going to open the window that's got all the details here.
Okay. So the first
Now,
said 2 of 2,500. Well, she's already done 1. So the next one, I need to build the next one at $24.97. It's like just give you $3 refund, but no, we're going to do this. So I don't know how to make the next one.
and this is really odd, and I don't know if it had to do with you clicking on that transaction. So let's close this out. Let's go back and try again, because that's a different screen than what I'm used to.
Okay, so let's close the whole deal.
So
Wait.
close that one.
Okay, let me go back over. Oops, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, go back. All right, no, I don't want you. Okay, hang on.
Now just close that whole window. It's the second tab over the first tab.
Okay, yeah, hang on. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
So now click on the order ID.
All right.
And then click on that one. Yep. That one there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's really odd. I'm not sure.
I set it up as installment to
okay.
Instead of recurring, because it's only, because it was 2 installments, the beginning and the other one. So
okay, I don't know if you can change this then. Try clicking on where it says recurring billing and see if that's editable.
okay. No.
Not editable?
No. Hang on. That's not going to do it either, right?
Yeah, I've never used that payment method with installments before. What I use is recurring billing. And when you have recurring billing, it shows the next bill date, which you can change, and it shows the future bill amount. Oh, excuse me.
So I could do recurring, but then only have it as 2 recurring instead of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I see. I did it as installment.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've never seen this piece before. I've never used the installments before.
Well, John, you know everything. You're the one that's supposed to know.
Well, here's what you can do. On the day that the installment runs, like let's say it's only supposed to be 1,000 for the second installment.
Okay.
So on the day that it runs, what you can do is you can come in here and you can click on issue partial refund and then just send 1,500 back.
Well, okay. So why? Okay. So I could do that here that same day that it does.
Correct. Correct.
All right. And then, all right. So if I click it now, it's not going to, I would just
if you click it now, it's just going to open up a box where you can put the amount in. You don't have to do it.
All right. Okay.
But that's what you could do. That's a simple solution for when that second payment runs. You just go in here, issue a partial refund, and then you're good. You're even. And just tell her what you did. Just say, oh, we had a glitch, I went ahead and refunded you the difference. So everything's good.
I'll be fine with that. But what I want to know then, because the way that payment plan is if somebody else does it, they would do the 2,500 also. But
Okay.
what I'm just going to do, just because it makes it easier. Yeah, because you broke it up into 2 payments, it's a $3 fee. I mean, I'm just gonna it's just easier.
Yeah. So what you could do if you want to change it for the future, you could go back to the product and you could just change the billing.
Okay, so let me do this then. So I go back in probably here.
Yeah. And then edit.
It's not the one I want. It's this.
Okay.
Okay, in the edit.
Yeah. Edit product. And then it's going to be on, I think the second tab is where the pricing is going to be.
Okay.
So click past the basic.
Okay, can I just click in here? Or do I have to go through the whole rigmarole?
You have to wait for it to update.
Okay, so
Okay, save and next will take you to the pricing.
okay. Okay, so it is this one I'm going to change because
Okay. So hit the change button up top.
Okay, but let's figure out this one again so I don't screw it up. Okay, so change. So
Yeah.
I'm going to change 2 of them.
Okay, so then you can click on the price number. I think it was 3 or 7.
That one was, I think, was 7.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so in here, instead of installments, click on recurring up at the top.
Oh, I see. And this won't mess up hers.
No, no.
Okay.
And now you can say the price for the recurring. And let me ask you this, is there a bigger price for the initial payment?
No, you know what I did is actually I'd probably just go back to the other one for this and just leave it both the same, because otherwise they put the down payment at 2,500 and then the balance would be 2,497. So now now I've got 2 pricings going as opposed to just do.
All you have to do is check the box here for enable initial payment.
Okay.
And now you put there the 2,500.
Oops. Wait, there's no little guy.
Okay. And then basically the 2,500 is going to be for the first 30 days and then their payments start.
Right. Okay.
And then up above, now you put how often the payments are, and you can put how many they're going to be.
1. And then, but then I would put the amount, right?
So put the price, yes.
Okay.
And then click on the until canceled by customer and change that.
It won't let me click that little button.
I wonder if that's, do you have PayPal enabled?
I do, but I'm going to switch over to direct pay.
Okay. I think this is because PayPal won't allow this kind of, they won't allow you to change stuff in here.
Oh, I'm so glad they're in control.
PayPal, yeah, PayPal is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting rid of PayPal, actually. So
Okay.
I am going to be direct pay.
Okay, so when you get PayPal off of this product, then it will allow you to do that. It'll say, 2 payments or 3 payments or whatever.
Okay. So what should I do now? How do I just go back to, I'll just cancel and go back to what I had until.
What was the, scroll back up. What's the last thing there? Scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
A little more. Instant versus delayed cancellation. Okay, I thought that was something different.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to go back and not save it. So it just defaults back to the 2525.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to do that, just click out over on the side.
I just went back.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. As long as you didn't save it, it should be fine.
No, it's there.
Well, you didn't save it. So click out, go over to the left menu, click back on my products over there.
Okay.
And then just to confirm, just go back in and make sure.
Okay.
Go to edit. Just want to make sure we don't leave you messed up here.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, save and next. And then do change again.
Let's see. Okay, let's see where he is.
And then 7, price 7.
Yep. Okay, yeah, so it just went
Okay,
back.
so you're good. If you ever want to do that, just click out on the left menu and it will just dump. It'll just dump what you did as long as you didn't save it.
And then this one, I'll need to change this, but I see how I can just do that. And there again, I have this as installments.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've always used the recurring.
Okay.
And then that gives me a lot of flexibility to alter and change as they go. Like if somebody wants to upgrade or downgrade a software or something, I can just go in there and do it for them.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes, all right, so now I'll just,
but keep in mind, it's still simple to do what you want to do just by giving them that partial refund.
Yeah, I think they'll just be easier.
You just have to remember how you got there.
Okay.
By the transactions tab, and then the order ID, and then the order ID again will take you to that screen.
Order ID and then order ID again. Okay, cool. And then partial. Okay, and I do that on the day. Yeah, I think it's scheduled to run April 3rd. So.
Okay. Yeah, you can just put it in your calendar, and you actually see when the orders run, you'll get an email. So you'll see the order come through.
Okay, cool.
That'll be your reminder.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure. No problem.
Don, I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
On the first guy that was talking about how to ruin his marriage by doing a budget thing. One thing he said kind of put my teeth on edge, and I didn't hear you speak to it, and it kind of went right by. He talked about collecting emails, and then the thing that kind of set me on edge was put them in the freezer, and then I'll go back and talk to him in 6 weeks, and I'm screaming, no, you don't. Never, if you wait 6 days between getting an email and doing a follow-up, or getting them on a weekly, if not daily follow-up, isn't that the path, or could you clarify the follow-up on that?
You definitely want to keep them warm. But again, what warm means to one audience will mean something different to another. So you definitely want to do the immediate follow-up email. You always want to set expectations. So if you're going to email them in a week, then you should tell them that. So they're expecting it, and in the back of their mind, they're looking for it. And then when they see it, it will click. So, but yeah, you know, I know he said that just facetiously about putting them in the freezer.
If I can just clarify, what I meant is that put it in the freezer until I make the actual offer is what I meant. And I appreciate the other person. No, I didn't mean to ignore them for that time. I meant like, you know, like putting something. What I meant was make the offer. It's okay if I wait to make the offer on the product which is being developed, but not to ignore them in the meantime. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Put them on ice until I have. Put them on ice for the offer until I have the product, and then defrost them and eat them.
Yeah. Always refrigerate your perishables. Keep them cozy. But yeah, like that's a whole science in itself of how often to email people and how soon to follow up with them and all that. If you do too much, you tend to break the connection, and it's really important you don't do that before you've made your first offer. Like the brilliance to Jeff Walker's system It's called the product launch formula. He actually creates the marketing campaign before he's even done creating the product. And I love that model. I did that, that was the first time I ever sold a digital product. I sold it before I had it. And it was funny, when I did that. I know some of you guys have heard the story, but some of you probably haven't. And it was my first time that I ever created an online training course. I went to speak at a women's organization of photographers. It was Women's Photographers of Orange County. They wanted me to come talk about SEO. And my first thought was, these women can't afford what I'm offering as far as commercial services. I know they're going to want it. They're going to hear about it. They're going to want it. And it's going to be very frustrating. So I decided, okay, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to create the demand and desire, and then I'm going to sell them how to do it themselves. And I'm going to sell them a e-course, an online course. And when I told my wife about it, she's like, you don't have an online course. And I said, well, that's right. And I'm not going to make one either unless they want to buy it. So I honestly, on the part of my mind, thought I was going to get off the hook here and not have to deliver on anything. I thought I was going to make an offer. Nobody's going to take it. And I was off the hook. So I kind of went into that with that in the back of my mind, that this might happen. But what actually happened was the total opposite. They fell in love with the idea of SEO. They all wanted to do it. And I think it was like 60% of the room bought the product.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh shit, now I got to figure out how to do this. I had never done a video. I'd never done, any kind of screen sharing video. And now I've got to create an 8-week course on screen share video, showing them how to do everything that I do. So I told them, I said, this doesn't exist. I'm going to create it for you. I was totally honest and upfront about it. I said, I think it was like April. I said, April 1st, you're going to get the first module. It's a Monday. And then Friday, we're going to do a Q&A call. I'll answer all your questions. And the following Monday, you'll get module 2. And we'll do that for 8 weeks. And that's actually how this call got started over 10 years ago. At the end, I never anticipated doing the calls after the 8 weeks. But at the 8th week, these women were literally freaking out. And I didn't know what the problem was. I'm like, don't worry, I'll be on the call with you as long as it takes. I will answer all your questions as promised. And they were still freaking out. I'm like, what do you guys, what am I missing? And they're like, what are we going to do next week? So again, this is back to listening to your audience. What do they want? They wanted that call to go on. So I said, what if I didn't want to charge them a lot for it. I said, what if I do it for $29.97 a month? Would you guys want to continue? And they all unanimously said yes. And that was back in like 2010. And that's this call today. It's still going. So that has been, an over a decade product. When I originally intended it to be 8 weeks, it's been over a decade. And it's generated revenue for me for the whole time. So it's been a great product. It's a great service. I love, answering people's questions and helping them along the way. So it's good for me. It's good for everybody. That was a great product development. And it all came out of nowhere. It came out of me making an offer out of thin air to a group that I didn't really know if they would even take it. I didn't know if they would want it. And I surprised myself. Now, knowing that along the way, I've created a lot of other products now based on that same thing, the same principle. And I'm super lazy. So instead of creating a whole bunch of calls that I have to do every week, I just put everybody into the same call. It's ongoing mentoring and support. Covers SEO, covers the ACT program. It covers, anything that I create. this call's open to anything. So wherever you're stuck, this call covers it all. And for me, for somebody that's lazy, I can do one call a week. It's awesome. So I like simple. I like to simplify everything I can about my life. It gives me more fishing time. or rather catching time. So, all right. Who is up next? We got everybody covered, or?
Well, in closing, during the time that we've been doing this, I've been uploading videos already to Kartra. And my question is, I have over 65 winning videos.
Okay.
Now, some of the exits were low, 12%, 3%, 5%. But a lot of exits were in the high numbers, 80, 100, 200%. Should I only feature the high numbers, or should I feature all of them?
On your internal marketing stuff, I would just show the high stuff. On your YouTube channel, put them all in
No,
there.
the daily is the daily.
Yeah.
That's fine. But here at Kartra, in the winners, the category we made the other day, that would be the higher number. That would be the anything over 50%.
Just call it the top winners.
Okay, I'm gonna have to retitle that category then. Is that a problem?
No, you can just retitle the category. It'll change it on all of them.
Okay, good. All right. Well, now I'll continue on my exercise of uploading these my specials and my high numbers, and I thank you.
All right, no problem. Catherine, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, I'm still stuck on my whole product idea and everything. Because I talk about the mental illness and suicide prevention, but I want to tie it in with the spirituality. So I don't have real products.
Okay. Well, sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, what you will find is the person that you're trying to sell to, you have to sell them what they want, not what you think they need.
Right.
And if you can figure out what they want, and another thing too, you have to identify who your real prospect is, and it might not be the person with the problem. Like, for instance, I've helped create marketing campaigns for drug and alcohol abuse. And it's not the person with the problem. It's always grandma. Grandma is our prospect. She's the one that wants to help little Joey, or, whoever it is. So we have to create the campaign for her, not for the person.
So I've been looking at it the wrong way all along.
So you have to figure out, your customer is who pays the bill.
Okay.
Your customer is who it's important to, and not necessarily the person that they're buying it for.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's a great help. Yeah, that's a big help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's always, it's always helpful to appeal to the person that's going to pay the bill.
Right.
Because with the drug and alcohol abuse, they don't think they have a problem. You cannot sell them a solution that they don't believe there's a problem for.
Right.
So it's an impossible task. I don't like impossible tasks,
Exactly.
I like the easy way.
That's why I've been stuck.
Yeah. So find out who it's important to, find out what's important about it to them, and that's what you sell them. And then what you deliver, that's your magic. You know what to deliver to provide the outcome. But
exactly.
Yeah. So, and in most cases, they don't really care. You don't want to talk about what you're actually going to do. You talk about what it does for them.
Right.
So don't.
That I've gotten, but that's a big difference.
Yeah. Never take them in the weeds on all the nitty gritty if they don't care.
Right.
So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. All right, guys. So if anybody else with anything before we wrap up here. All right. A happy clan. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, have a great week, and
You too.
we will talk to you next week.
Thank you,
Okay.
John.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.